And all ships at sea. This is Stephen the Mini Scratcher bringing you another high quality video presentation. This one's a little bit special. Today we're doing taking a look at my Walking Dead tribute piece. A little background on this before we do anything else. This started off as a test piece or proof of concept for working with foam board. As the terrain tutor, Mel, the terrain tutor, had inspired me to work with foam board, and I just kind of got carried away with myself. And originally, there wasn't as much debris on here, and I'd actually posted some pictures on the Terrainiacs Facebook group of it, and I, jokingly entitled it "A Bad Day on Sesame Street." And that caused a couple of comments, which were pretty entertaining, but it was at that point that I realized that we were getting close to the premiere of Season 6 of The Walking Dead, as well as the premiere of the new companion series called Fear the Walking Dead. So that got me all Walking Dead kind of motivated, I guess. So I decided to make this a little tribute piece. And, I had the, all the bullet holes and what have you. Forgive my dirty, dirty hands. I've been painting and rusting today, so I've got my hands quite dirty. Yeah, the bullet holes and such were in there before I did decided to do the whole zombie thing. So that's just, it is what it is. I worry sometimes that I've got this area in here just a little too cluttered. I don't know. I'm glad I went with the taller vegetation too, but I also put in some scrub vegetation as well as debris from the wall, which all of this is actually foam board as well that I cut and painted individually. And some of the debris, the powdery looking, gravelly looking debris, was spackle, or as you folks call it across the sea, filler, mixed with the mortar color, like here, with the brick color, slightly lighter. Because if you look at a brick, you can see, I don't know if you can tell, if the camera can pick this up or not, the exterior of the brick is slightly darker than the interior, and the reason for that is the outside gets all the dirt and grime and handling and what have you, and so therefore it gets a little darker, and the interior is more the true color of the brick. Okay, so I did that, and I put in some ground cover, some good crushed foam, ground foam, with variegated colors in it. And of course, my traditional favorite, the tobacco bush, and some burnt and scorched pieces of wood. And actually, right here, you can't see it that well, I don't think, but there's an actual piece of real honest-to-goodness brick that had chipped off of my own home. And I thought that would be kind of cool to include in that as well. Just for maybe a little comparison. Maybe I can pull this up here where you might be able to see that a little better. Right in there. Right in between and these taller weeds here. These right here, these little bushes. Believe it or not, that's corn silk. Yeah. Handy dandy stuff, that is. We grow our own corn. Right now we're not having a good year, so we've had to buy some corn on the cob at the grocery store. But the silk, I always take the silk off the stalk of corn. As you can see, makes wonderful stuff. Not to mention, our zombie's hair is actually made out of corn silk that's been colored and treated with some PVA, so it looks all nice and clumpy and grotesque looking. And it also helped to hide some of the facial features where I perhaps didn't do such good. I'm bad at faces. I'm bad at figure painting to begin with, but the faces give me a real fit for some reason. I don't know why. If I don't mess up my camera here. I've got this camera mounted precariously on an old microphone boom stand. But perhaps I didn't do a great job on the face. I cut the nose off and everything like that. So, and yeah, she's all bloody and gory, and I've still got some more detail work to do on that. And actually, what I'm going to do today is give her some bloody footprints, or actually footprint, because this ankle here is broken, and so it's dragging, and she's barely able to lift it off the ground. So it's going to be kind of a stump slide kind of thing. It's not going to be full strides. They're going to be very short strides with some drag marks coming from this foot here that's all kind of foobarred up. So I'm going to be doing that. And I'm going to be adding a chunk of flesh that she's holding on to, that she's been munching on. And I'm going to make that from spackle / filler mixed with, no, this is the one right here, with a rust red paint. Why rust red? Because the blood is starting to congeal. There's going to be some highlights also with true red, but for the main part it's going to be rust red, because that, I think, represents color of drying / congealing blood very, very nicely. So that's what I'm going to do with that. Let me take a sip of coffee and we'll get started on that bad boy. I guess I should give you a chance to look over some of the details here. I'm actually quite proud of this. There are some areas where I think I need some improvement. Here, this was a campaign poster. It was actually a photograph of a local funeral home owner. He had his picture in the paper, and I thought, well, if you can put it in the paper, it can go on my diorama. So I cut it out. And of course, I've obscured it a little bit, a little tearing and you know, damage, what have you, there for that. And this storm drain grate. Not real happy with how that turned out. I could have done a little bit better, spent a little more time on that, but I didn't, so there you go. Now, I am relatively happy with my pothole here, because it looks like a pothole, and the cracks and what have you. Excuse me just a second. Pardon me. And of course my sewer manhole cover. I missed out on some details on that. I should have spent more time on that one too. But what are you going to do? And the street, you know, you can see where the asphalt is cracked and been repaired. That was done very simply by taking PVA and just running a line of PVA, because there's a slight sheen to it that you would notice on regular asphalt that's been repaired. It's got a little bit of shininess to it, you can see right there. And then layered a little bit of black on top of that to represent the hot tar that they would use to patch that with. The roadway itself is foam board, but it's covered with a layer of sandpaper. And actually the reason that crack exists is because the piece of sandpaper was too short to fully cover the length I had for this vignette. So I cut a jagged line across it, and I cut a matching jagged line on another piece of sandpaper and joined them together, and you know, did my little repairing thing there. So I thought that worked out fairly well. Alright, onward and forward. And any questions you have about this vignette, and excuse me, and how I did something, just let me know. Put it in the comments below, and I'll answer best I can. But keep in mind, there will be a again, not a tutorial, but this is how I did it thing about the the sidewalk, the curb, and the roadway. I'm going to show the materials and techniques that I used and actually do it on camera. Show how I did it on camera. So that'll be fun for the kids and everybody, right? Sure. All right. I got to keep an eye on the time here because the Terrain Tutor's having his live event at 3 o'clock this afternoon, Central Standard Time, which is 9 p.m. UK time, and a week from last Thursday in Australia, I believe, is how that works. All right. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a chunk of just a little bit of filler. For this scene, it's actually quite a lot, but I want to make sure that my mixing goes well. Alright. And this is going to be for both for the chunk that she will have in her hand, as well as the chunk that that will be on the ground that she dropped. Alright. I'm going to move this aside so I can show you what I'm doing here with this material. I'm really watching this through the camera, so it's getting a little weird on me here. Alright. I'm just going to put down a little bit of the rust red, and maybe just to tone it up just a tad, I'm going to add just a little tiny drop of the true red. Give it a little more brightness. Just a touch. You understand? Ka-thunk. Alright. Yeah, that'll work. I believe that'll work. Yeah, I believe I could be wrong too. I don't know. So let's just mix this all up real good. And the reason that I'm using the spackle, the filler, is I want this to be a solid, chunky type of thing. And once it dries, more paint will be added, as well as a gloss medium, aka clear fingernail polish, to make it shiny and you know, goopy and what have you. But I want to lay down a base coat, and that's kind of odd color there. That's not turning out the color, but that's okay. I will touch it up afterwards. This is giving me a good base coat color, and plus I wanted things to be a little bit drippy, you know. And this stuff is easy. This filler dries fairly quickly, but I think with adding the acrylic paint, it's going to slow that process down a little bit. And could I have used PVA instead of filler to thicken up the paint? And the answer is yes. If I wasn't currently out of wood glue, I would. I wouldn't. I don't like using just regular PVA when it comes to using it as a thickening agent, simply because it takes too long to dry and it's not nearly as thick. Wood glue comes out of the bottle a lot thicker, and makes me happy, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Alright, here we go. She's holding a chunk of flesh, so we're just going to bump that up into her hand and kind of build it up from there. Now, this is not, sorry about shaking the camera there. This is not an approved. This is something I decided to try on my own. I've not seen a technique like this pretty much anywhere. This is something I'm trying on my own to do, and I'm going to have to see how it turns out. And it looks like I may have to add a little more filler because I'm not getting quite the chunky effect that I was after. See, again, I thought I was putting on too much filler at the beginning. Turns out I shouldn't have worried about that. As a matter of fact, I probably could have done this whole thing with just the filler as opposed to trying to add color to it. I was just trying to cut some time and be fancy, I guess. I don't know. Alright, we'll get some more filler. We'll get some near the lid surface, which is a little bit thicker. It's like partially dried, I should say, and we'll just try that from there. You know, this is the first time I've done any type of, other than the quote-unquote tutorials, first time I've ever done any building type stuff on camera, so this is an interesting little challenge for me, and I hope you're enjoying yourself. Because I know I am. I'm having a good old time right now. Yeah, this stuff is a little bit, this stuff that I got off the side of the container near the lid is a little bit drier, a little bit thicker, and this is more the consistency that I was actually looking for here. And you know, like it says on the About page of this channel, all of this is an experiment. This is new to me. I've never done it before. You know, you see the successes and the failures. And that's, you know, that's what this is all about. And that's what I'm doing. Alright. She's holding a big chunk of fleshy substance in her hand. Yeah. Your boy here is not an artist by any stretch of the imagination. Oh, now that's nice. That's nice. That is cool. I like that. That will work. All right. Now maybe some that she's dropped on the ground a little bit here and there. Maybe some back here. And again, this will all be gone over with more paint and clear nail polish. Sorry I keep shaking the camera there. It's just unprofessional and rude, and I'm sorry. And yes, I got some where I didn't intend to get some on my plant material there. I'm going to need to get that off. And you can see I'm using a lot of really cool professional tools here. Toothpicks and what have you. I'm going to have to go back over that with some green paint. I'm getting my vegetation coming up through the cracks in the sidewalk here with... okay. Sorry. And I want to shape this piece a little bit to make it a little more 3D, like it's a lump of something that she has dropped out of her hand there. Again, no sculptor eye, for sure. Okay, and this piece is pretty close to being done. Once I've done this part and the footprints that I'm going to do next, it's pretty much all going to be over except for the powdering, the what's it called? You know what I'm talking about. The pigment powder, pigment weathering powder, which I've got to wait till I can afford to buy some soft pastels, and I will have that in spades. No problemo. Coffee, yes. We love the coffee. Alright. Yes, I know, nice palette I'm using here, right? Okay, now I got to think about the footprint aspect of things. See, they got a nice 3D chunk of some kind of organic material splatted on the ground as she's walking, and is dripping from her hand. I like that. I like that a lot. That turned out better than I thought it would, and probably accidentally better. But, you know, be that as it may. Okay, let me adjust the camera here a little bit. Alright. Now, again, like I said, you got a situation where Chicky Boo here is not walking in a normal manner, will not have a normal long stride. It's going to be, you know, she's going to move while while her left foot is up, all her pressure is going to be on this broken foot. So that pressure will end very quickly because it's uncomfortable and will cause her to fall. She's a zombie, so she's probably not feeling pain, but she knows that this is pretty much non-functional. But she doesn't know enough to, hop on one foot like, a living person would. So there's going to be just short scuffs from this foot and a small stride from her left foot. Does that make any sense to you? Well, it should. So I'm going to do that right now. And one of my other figures has magnanimously and without any consent whatsoever donated body parts, has donated a foot to this cause, so I can make the footprints for the good foot, as it were. Alright, let me spread this out a little bit here. So I don't want to leave a thick blob. I just want barely an impression of, and yes, don't worry, I'm going to calm that color down once it dries. I just want to get the basics of it in. Okay. And again, it's going to be a short stride, so working in confined spaces here. There we go. That's starting to turn out fairly nicely. Yeah, she's not going to be spending a lot of time on that right leg. So that... Oh, now how did that one come out different than the others? Damn it. Maybe, I know what I'll do here is maybe insinuate that it was a puddle of blood that she had walked through there, which caused the footprint deal. Okay, alright, so we've got that part done. Now I need to study and look here on the drag marks. Now we have to figure out where in her stride that this foot will make contact with the sidewalk. So she is up on her left foot now, and we'll have to transition to pick that left foot up off the ground. So where is this broken foot going to be when that happens? And I'm thinking that'll come down right about there, and a scuff kind of thing. So halfway between these two footprints, I should put the little scuff mark. And how I'm going to do it, I don't exactly know. I'm just going to have to make it, oh, that's perfect. Okay. Alright, now I know it's boring with watching me paint, sort of paint, with no talking. So there we've got a fair approximation of a drag mark slash footstep kind of thing going on. There we go. Yeah, maybe fill in the shoe impressions a little bit here too. You know, I'm definitely not, painting is not my strong point. It really isn't, and never really has been. I don't know that I have a whole lot of strong points, but anyway. Alright, so there we have it. And yes, it's not going to be quite as vibrant. The colors will be corrected before this is all the way complete. But there you have Honey Baby there, just walking along with her pound of flesh. And actually, it looks like she's looking down at it as it's dripping onto the sidewalk there. Yeah, so yeah, little touch-ups here and there, and some gloss where there needs to be gloss, and weathering powder where there needs to be weathering powder, and we can call it done and done. In time, hopefully, for the premiere of Season 6 of The Walking Dead. So, there you have it. The herefores and why thous and these and what have yous, so forth, of this little deal. So, alright, people, until next time, everyone be well, take care, and so long, and thanks for all the fish.